If I'm easy work, I heard him say I'm easy work.
Crawford throwing his hat in to want to fight Canelo at 168.
I mean, everybody wants to fight Canelo. It's some money.
Terence Crawford and David Benavidez jumped on a video call that ended in a mockery of Canelo Alvarez.
I want to fight the winner of this fight. What are your thoughts on Canelo Alvarez?
Not only are fans wary of Canelo Alvarez's cherry-picking of opponents, but many professional boxers have become fed up with this.
No, he coming behind his jab, he throwing straight punches, he going to the body, going in up and down.
It got so bad that Terence Crawford and David Benavidez both had a brief meeting where they trolled and mocked Saul, Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez recently turned down offers to fight either Terence Crawford or David Benavidez.
David, I talked to Terence Crawford before the Canelo and Charlo fight, and he let me know clearly, look, I want to fight you.
For the fight against Bud Crawford, Canelo Alvarez deems it a lesser risk, as he'll be facing a smaller fighter who'll be adding over 20 pounds within 2 fights to challenge him. As a result, Canelo demanded $150 million. However, for David Benavidez, who would be coming at him with 25 more pounds and a height and reach advantage, Canelo feels this puts his record at risk and could be a setup for a third career loss.
I mean, I can't really say nothing about that. If that's what he wants to do, then that's what he's going to do. Canelo is a man that he does anything he wants to do. I don't think really what people say affects him.
Hence, he demanded $200 million, which is an unrealistic demand in every sense of it. As a result, both fighters came together to discuss Canelo Alvarez's ducking. And they did have a good time analyzing his style and exposing his reasons for ducking big names.
But I feel like the people, they want to see David Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez.
As expected, Turki Alashikh was the man behind their virtual meeting, as he had earlier planned a fight between Terence Crawford and David Benavidez. Sadly, Benavidez declared he couldn't go as low as 160 pounds to make the fight. But while they can't fight against each other, Turki Alashikh has made them fight together against his first and most prominent boxing enemy.
Who's out there saying he's 60 pounds overweight? You saw that on Twitter.
Earlier, Turki Alashikh had earlier made up such a scene when he put Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua together on a video call, a call that went viral and made headlines. "Hey champ, congrats on your belt," David Benavidez said to Crawford. But Crawford quipped immediately, "Thanks champ, congrats on moving on from the ducker too." And they both burst into laughter. The guy ducks every big name since Bivol.
He just got to tighten up a little bit on his defense, but other than that, man, he good. He ready for Canelo.
We know you want Canelo. How's it look? How's that fight look?
Crawford has been chasing Canelo since becoming the first undisputed welterweight champion of the four-belt era. Crawford moved to 154 and beat Israil Madrimov to become the World Boxing Association champion. The fight was seen as a step towards fighting Alvarez at 168.
Yet and still, he want $200 million for Benavidez.
Crawford took the shots well, but the fight appeared closer than the unanimous scorecard suggested. But after Canelo Alvarez's response to Turki Alashikh, Crawford has now reacted by calling out what he perceived as double standards. He highlighted how Canelo had been fighting smaller guys in the past, Amir Khan and Floyd Mayweather to name a few. Crawford even highlighted how Canelo made his weight class by fighting guys at 155 pounds when he fought Khan.
Benavidez good, but Canelo is, you know what I mean, great. We just got to see the fight, man. We all want to see the fight.
Crawford said, "I think Canelo is more nervous of losing to a smaller guy like myself than being scared of me. I just think he knows that I have the tools and ability to disrupt anything that he brings to the table. Canelo is very strong and punches very hard, but you're going to need more than just power and strength to beat Terence Crawford. And I think for a little small guy from 135 to go to 168 and defeat Canelo Alvarez would be a big tarnish on his legacy as well," Crawford said.
Canelo wanted to fight him. I mean, I don't want to see Crawford to fight Canelo, to be honest with you.
But it's even worse for David Benavidez, who went on to become a mandatory challenger, only for Canelo Alvarez to duck him again. But it's not because Alvarez's resume needs bolstering, or that at age 33 he has something left to prove to the masses before riding into a Mexican sunset. His list of high-end foes and victories rivals anyone's in the game today.
I deserve my opportunity. And after this fight, what else are they going to say? You know what I mean? This was a tough fight.
And his defeat of unbeaten slugger Jaime Munguia, who stood 4 inches taller, weighed 3/4 of a pound more, and was 6 years younger, added another one-sided footnote and a fourth defense of supremacy at 168. He won by scores of 117 to 110, 116 to 111, and 115 to 112 and scored the fight's lone knockdown. He's beaten almost everyone that anyone's ever suggested he fight. And with that has gone far beyond having to apologize for his matchmaking decisions.
The WC are fighting each other, so I mean, it shouldn't be it should be an easy call. If I can't get those fights, then I'll go up to fight Bivol.
Nevertheless, he still ought to fight David Benavidez, because as much as any of the others Alvarez will surely consider before next appearing in September or whenever, Benavidez has earned the opportunity to test himself. He too has beaten everyone they put in front of him, 28 up and 28 down, all but 4 by KO and nearly all in one-sided fashion. He's a two-time champion in the same division where Alvarez now reigns, never lost the belts in the ring, and has been especially impressive against the highest caliber opposition, stopping 3 of the 4 champions he's faced in 9 rounds or less.
Like I said, I don't want no handouts either. I want to, earn my spots everywhere I go, even at 175. But, I see that weight class. I want to become champion at 175, and that's exactly what I'm.
Against the other ex-Alvarez victim, Caleb Plant, he won 24 of a possible 36 rounds. He's ranked second only to Alvarez at 168 by The Ring, ESPN, the National Boxing Rankings Board, and other independent sources, as well as by the WBC, which installed him as Alvarez's mandatory challenger several months ago. In other words, he's done everything he's needed to do to earn a shot. In fact, it can be argued that he's done it several times over. While Alvarez has sandwiched an overripe Gennady Golovkin and an overweight Jermel Charlo, neither of whom had ever competed in the weight class, around an overmatched John Ryder across the last 2 years, Benavidez has bided his time while violently mowing down David Lemieux, Plant, and Demetrius Andrade. Those 3 foes, incidentally, had gone 14-1 with 8 KOs in their last 15 fights. The evidence seems overwhelming, but it's no luck that Alvarez pulls the trigger.
Gets him to the body because Booba was landing a lot of body shots.
I don't know. That's why I said we got to watch the fight. You know what I mean? It's a different style.
And it's just interesting to see how Terence Crawford and Benavidez came together to blow out the fires of the ducking Mexican champion. The last time Crawford and Benavidez found themselves in the same sentence, it was deemed an unrealistic matchup by the 175-pounder, who told the Saudi boxing mogul how he couldn't come as low as 160 pounds to make the match.
Different type of fighter. You got 2 strong fighters going head-to-head.
Is Canelo the only 68U fighter? Would you consider a Benavidez?
Yeah, Canelo the only one.
Benavidez had earlier said he declined a fight with Crawford for not being able to make weight. The Mexican monster explained he was offered a mega bout against Terence Crawford this summer at 160 pounds. David Benavidez is one of the best boxers in the sport today, and his name is an attractive option for any potential showdown. He took on and defeated Alexander Gvozdyk in June at light heavyweight for the World Boxing Council interim title. However, his fate could have been very different if he had chosen another path. Benavidez said he was recently offered a big clash with the 2-division undisputed champion Terence Crawford in August at 160 pounds. The 27-year-old undefeated fighter, who went up from 168 to 175 to take on Gvozdyk, added that Turki Alashikh called him and offered him a middleweight fight with Bud.
People just talk, they don't even know anything at all. You see me now, do I look 60 pounds overweight? No.
I had talked to Turki, great guy. They had wanted me to fight in August. I told him I'm with PBC. We got this big card on June 15th, so I think it was just a conversation of opening the doors that this might be a reality, that we could make this happen, he said in an interview with boxing journalist Sean Zeidel. We never got to that point. He did mention to me one fighter. He wanted me to go down to 160 and fight Crawford. I said, bro, I cannot do that. If I could make 160, that would be amazing, but I can't. I don't remember the last time I weighed 160. I would love to share the ring with him, but not at 160, Benavidez added.
Benavidez versus Canelo Alvarez is the biggest fight to make happen, and I feel like I'm the biggest threat to him.
David Benavidez revealed that Turki Alashikh offered him a fight with Terence Crawford at 160 pounds. I don't remember the last time I weighed 160. The possibilities of seeing a fight between Benavidez and Crawford seem pretty slim, as there's a significant weight gap, and none of them will likely make such a risky move to face each other. As for now, Crawford is basking in his most recent win this past weekend against Israil Madrimov. The Nebraska great will be looking to become a world champion in 4 divisions as he challenges his opponent for the World Boxing Association and World Boxing Organization interim world super welterweight titles.
He's a man that he does anything he wants to do. I don't think really what people say affects.
Benavidez has repeatedly stated that he won't wait for Canelo and has his sights set on the light heavyweight division. El Bandera Roja wants to become an undisputed champion, and he will have the chance to accomplish that feat if he defeats Gvozdyk and faces the winner of the Dimitri Bivol versus Artur Beterbiev battle, which will take place in June. The 34-year-old has been at the very top of the sport in terms of talent, achievements, and box office appeal for some time now. As such, a win against him is not only lucrative but legacy-defining. Only 2 men have managed it in 65 fights. Be willing to pay whatever you want to fight Crawford.
To pay whatever you want to fight Crawford.
I said to you, Canelo, we are ready to February.
Recently, he received an offer, now taken off the table, to face fellow 4-weight world champion Terence Crawford. In an interview with Sway's Universe, the Mexican pound-for-pound star dismissed a challenge from Bud due to the gulf in weight. I think Crawford, don't get me wrong, is a great fighter. But for me, in my weight class, it's an easy fight, easy money. If the money's right, I'm in. I don't like to fight guys like Crawford because he moves a lot, and the fight is not that great. I saw his last fight, and he doesn't move that much now. If the money is right, I'm in. Why not? I know in his mind he thinks he can do whatever he wants because he's very talented, but that's why there are weight classes, and he knows. Now,
he's willing to pay whatever I want.
Oh, you're in. So if the numbers were right with Crawford, you'll do it.
Crawford would need to move up 2 weight classes for the fight, from super welter to super middle. Later in the interview, Canelo discussed David Benavidez. The man most in the sport field deserves his shot more than anybody, and said he would take the fight for no less than $200 million. He then explained why, calling the 27-year-old a risk, a sentiment he doesn't hold for Crawford. Obviously, Benavidez is a risk. He is a great fighter, and plus, he brings to the ring on fight night 25 pounds more than me, but I don't care about that. If the money is right, I can beat that guy tomorrow. Tired of waiting for the fight, Benavidez has decided to campaign at light heavyweight for the foreseeable future.
He don't move that much now. That's why there are weight classes. Yeah.
And Canelo returns to the ring for the second time this year on September 14th to face Puerto Rico's Edgar Berlanga. On the line will be 3 of the 4 major belts after he was stripped of the International Boxing Federation. Turkey Alashikh has slammed Canelo Alvarez after the Mexican ruled himself out of a Terence Crawford fight. Saudi Arabia's key boxing figure, Turkey Alashikh, struck out at Canelo Alvarez after accusing the Mexican of trying to take more money than he's worth as the Saudis try to get the 34-year-old into the ring for a boxing super fight.
Then we'll see, right? At the end of the day, like I said before, I'm not asking for that fight.
The desired opponents would be either Terence Crawford or David Benavidez, but Canelo doesn't seem keen on the idea as he demands $200 million for the bout, which Alashikh laughed out of the room. Canelo boxes Edgar Berlanga on September 14th as he defends his World Boxing Association, World Boxing Council, and World Boxing Organization belts at 168. Alvarez was stripped of his IBF belt after he failed to face his mandatory William Skull. The Berlanga fight has received criticism as boxing fans realize the David Benavidez fight is unlikely. The Mexican monster has said he will stay at 175 pounds as he targets the winner of Artur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol for undisputed.
I don't want that.
Crawford then became a likely opponent for Canelo. Reports indicated that Turki Alashikh wanted to make the fight, but following Crawford's win over Israil Madrimov, things have changed. Canelo confirmed he had been contacted by Turki, who wanted to discuss the fight. However, since Canelo was focused on Berlanga, he was not interested in looking elsewhere. He has now ruled himself out of facing Crawford as he had a few choice words to say about Alashikh. My response to Turki is this. Yesterday they texted me and said we can talk about that fight in February with offer. I said I'm not going to talk about any other fight. I'm focused 100% on this fight. Look, I don't like the way he talks. If he wants to work with me, it's in my way, not their way. I don't need it. It's not the way you approach me. I respect everybody, and I respect Turki. If he wants to work with me, it needs to be my way. If it has nothing to do with Crawford.
I don't really care about it. They called me yesterday. They texted me yesterday if it's possible to talk about our Crawford fight for February or meet.
Canelo then suggested that Teofimo Lopez deserves the Terence Crawford fight more. The Takeover is a 2-time lineal champion at 135 and 147. He is the current World Boxing Organization junior welterweight champion, a belt acquired after beating the former undisputed champion at 140, Josh Taylor. Lopez has been calling out Crawford for a fight at 147, but since Bud is now at 154, Lopez may need to move up 2 weight classes to get that fight unless there is a catchweight. Lopez has several wins over big names, having beaten Vasyl Lomachenko, Richard Cummey, and Taylor, to name a few.
And I said, look, I'm 100% focused on this fight, and I can talk about other fights. Maybe that's why he talked about that today, because I say I'm not ready to talk about other fights.
Canelo felt it was only right that Teofimo Crawford needs to fight Teofimo first, and then we'll see. I'm not asking for that fight. Crawford wants to make that fight because it's a payday, obviously. I don't want that fight. Teofimo deserves it more than me, Canelo added. However, Crawford's prior comments suggested a reluctance to take that fight. He urged Lopez to stay in his own lane by facing the big names at 140, but Lopez has struggled to make those big fights. A large part of that is that he struggles to sell out despite his championship pedigree. Crawford is now 36, as he looks to secure the biggest fight for the most money before he walks away. But Turkey has responded by accusing Canelo of ducking Benavidez. I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford. Therefore, I knew he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serve the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights, Turkey stated. The chairman of the General Entertainment Authority said that business will be done on his own terms and that he doesn't care about what the Guadalajara super middleweight king thinks of him, before appearing to suggest Canelo only wants big money for easy fights. I heard that Canelo said that he respects me but doesn't like the way we do business, Alashikh posted to X, formerly Twitter. As for him respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not. As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it because I only target big fights at fair prices. So, of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that. Canelo ducking opponents has been a criticism levied against him throughout his career once he rose to become one of the sport's leading names, with people saying he intentionally avoided a Gennady Golovkin rematch until after GGG physically declined. He's also accused of dodging opponents such as Crawford and Benavidez, who others think have the skills and tools to put down the February 2nd, 61 counterpuncher, and to end his multi-weight reign at the top of the sport. What did Canelo say? Canelo, meanwhile, hasn't necessarily denied staying away from Crawford or Benavidez, but added a key catch is the financial incentive to him to risk his own belts and legacy against the rivals. The Mexican said that if he beats someone like Crawford, who is 36 and a smaller man, critics will say it does little to his legacy, and added if he loses, then he's the person who was beaten by a smaller man. Therefore, to him, it isn't worth the risk. Benavidez, meanwhile, is a larger opponent than Canelo, 6 feet 1 inch versus 5 feet 9 inches, which could be why he wants $200 million to face him. After promoting Canelo Alvarez for a number of fights, Eddie Hearn found himself on the opposite side of the face of Boxing Monday. The Matchroom Boxing promoter is backing Edgar Berlanga, who is Alvarez's mandatory challenger for the Mexican Superstars Unified Super Middleweight World Championship on September 14th, live on DAZN in the US and Canada. Despite a segment of boxing fans and critics who are calling for Alvarez to fight David Benavidez instead, Hearn is giving Berlanga more than a puncher's chance next month.
Probably a little bit tongue-in-cheek, because I know Saul will fight anybody, but he also knows that that's a big fight, and it is a massive fight. It's one of the biggest in boxing.
And I think Edgar is being overlooked and disrespected, Hearn told the media Monday during the Alvarez-Berlanga New York City press conference. He's here only to win. He had 16 first-round knockouts in his first 16 fights. He's got dynamite in his hands, and he'll put everything on the line on September 14th. That being said, having spent time with Alvarez, Hearn did take the time to blast any critics who think the boxing legend is ducking Benavidez.
If he sells the right money, he will take the fight. Whether that's 150 might be a little bit adventurous, but also I think his comments about the hydration, I think that's in his mind as well.
He will fight anybody, Hearn affirmed to DAZN News. He has absolutely no fear of anyone, but he'll have a number in his mind for the deal, and if that number can't be met, no problem, he'll carry on with his mandate until it can be. Hearn believes the Alvarez-Benavidez fight could eventually happen. As the fight grows, it gets bigger, and there's more demand, Hearn said. The money keeps on increasing. Canelo Alvarez will take any fight if the money is there, but he's obviously got a price in his mind, and we'll see if he can get it. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality content like this. Until next time, peace out.